all Hebrew linguists recognize that most Hebrew words are derived from a triliteral or three-letter root. However, there are some linguists who have suggested that these triliteral roots are themselves derived out of a biliteral or two-letter root. Rabbi Mattatyahu Clark, in his book Etymological Dictionary of Biblical Hebrew, records and organizes Rabbi Samson Raphael Hirsch's commentaries of the Bible, which relate to the Hebrew language. Rabbi Clark stated, "The second major analytical tool in the Hirsch system we will call gradational variance. This involves 5 special consonants, the Aleph, He, Vav, Yud, and Nun. These consonants play a special role with respect to roots whose third consonant is identical with the second. The new root form does not change the basic meaning of the original root, but adds some nuances of meaning." Rabbi Clark then provides many examples of these gradational variants, including the triliteral root sarar, which means forcing, constraining, oppressing. As mentioned, the second and third consonants are identical, the letter resh. And the gradational variants of sarar are natsar, guarding or protecting, yatsar, forming or creating, tsur, fencing or enclosing. The meaning of the triliteral root radad is a flattening down or submitting totally. And the gradational variants are Radah, ruling over or having dominion over. Yarad, going down. Rud, humbling. Wilhelm Gesenius, one of the greatest Hebrew scholars of all time, wrote in his book, Gesenius' Hebrew Grammar, "A large number of triliteral stems really point to a biliteral base, which may be properly called a root since it forms the starting point for several triliteral modifications of the same fundamental idea." Gesenius then cites the following example. The biliteral root kar is the root of karar, kara, achar, kor, each being related to the idea of digging. Another example he provides is the biliteral root dach. The root of dacha, dacha, dachach, and doch, each being related to the idea of striking or breaking. States in his book, How the Hebrew Language Grew, scholars are fairly convinced that back of these three-lettered roots lie old, primitive two-letter syllables. These two-lettered syllables represent some simple, primitive action or thing. It does seem quite clear that there existed a biliteral or two-letter base for many, if not most, of our three-lettered roots. Horowitz then provides the following example from the root gaz. Guz, to cut. Gazar, to cut. Gaza, to cut. Gazaz, to shear. Gaza, to cut. Gazem, a locust. Gazal, to rob. Horowitz continues, each of the words in turn gave rise to many other words. For example, from gazar we have migzara, an axe. From gaza we have geza, the stalk of a tree, what's left after all the branches have been cut off. From gazaz we have gaza, wool. Gaza is the root of gazit, which means hewn stones, and from gazal we have gazela, robbery. And Horowitz adds, do not be surprised if so many of these comparatively few two-lettered roots mean to cut, to split, to slit, or slice. After all, everything that primitive man did in the way of making a living for himself and his family, in some way or other, involved a cutting action. Roots. Roots are very important when studying the Hebrew language because all words come from a root. Without understanding the root, you can't understand the word. So let's take a look at a couple of roots. Here's the word El. These are parent roots. What I call a parent root are words that are composed of two letters, sticking two letters together and forming parent roots. Here we have El, dog. What is dog? Fish, good. Esh, Etz is a tree. Har, mountain. Bar, grain. Dam, blood. Lev, heart. These are all foundational words. These are the parent roots of the rest of the entire Hebrew alphabet, or the Hebrew vocabulary. Child roots are formed by placing a vowel inside the parent root. How many of you have heard there are no vowels in Hebrew? How many of you have heard that? It's wrong. No matter where you heard it, it's wrong. There are 4 vowels in the ancient Hebrew language. The aleph, the he, the vav, and the yod. Now, each of these work as a consonant, but they also double as vowels, much like our letter Y. Our letter Y is a consonant like in the word yellow, but it's also a vowel like in the word fly. These 4 letters work the same way. By taking a parent root and adding one of these vowels to it, you create a child root. Now, each one of these roots are going to be related in meaning. Here's a parent root, lach, walk. Now let's put a he in front of it, make the child root out of that, and we have the word halach. How many of you are familiar with the word halach? Very, very, very common. Used several thousand times in the biblical text, and it means to walk. La'ach. This is a root to the word malach. Now don't confuse that with melech, king. This is malach. Anybody know what malach is? Messenger. A messenger is one who walks for another. You notice that how each one of these words are related to each other, and they're all related to the root.